Hey everybody, this is Jimmy Beach with Exposure Software. I do apologize there on the delay. I was having a lot of fun with a new computer and setting it up. So yeah, good times. I just wanted to let everybody know that this was an actual live recording and sometimes we have technical issues. So that was just to make sure that you guys knew that. Anyway, so let's get started today with our lesson. We are talking about commanding image colors using exposure. Exposure, let's talk about exposure a little bit. Exposure is our advanced non-destructive raw photo editor and organizer. It handles your full post-processing workflow, and we'll show you in this lesson. Included, we will show you specifically how to use the advanced color editor. All right, so feel free to ask any questions during the demonstration. We are monitoring the chat. So if the questions that you have are not answered during the presentation, we'll make sure to get to them in the Q&A at the end. You can probably see there in the chat that we're sending messages to you already. So thank you. That's Nate on the team. He's awesome. He's handling that. Appreciate you, Nate. Okay, so a story about exposure. About 15 years ago or so, exposure began as a plugin for Photoshop to help film photographers transition from working in the darkroom with chemicals to editing in the computer. And the accurate film emulation presets that were designed in exposure were just what they wanted. That gave them the feel of analog film, but in the digital environment. So it really helped smooth the transition to them and get them going about, working in the computer. And since then, exposure has grown by leaps and bounds to become the software that it is today. Excuse me. Okay, let's take a look here. We are working inside of exposure. Let me open up one of these images. These are great shots from Jenna Barrett. Anthem and Art. Okay, so here, this is great stuff. We're going to be doing an advanced color. We're going to be using the advanced color editor. So the advanced color editor, they're over here. The advanced color editor is on the color panel. So inside of exposure, on the right side, the bottom of the right hand dock, there is the color panel right here. The color panel enables us to have control over the colors in an image. And so the advanced color editor enables us to make a precise selection based off information in the image and then make modifications to that color. So it's really simple to do. So what we'll do is once we'll open the advanced color editor here on the right side. And then we can see in this panel, we have two sets of controls. On the left, the convert from color, and then on the right, the convert to color. If you bear with me just a second. I want to open the chat so I can see if anybody's asking me stuff while I'm working. So I apologize for that while I'm back to now I'm working again. Okay. So advanced color editor, there it goes. Click back on it. This is where you can define the color on the left, the convert from color. So it's pretty simple and easy to do. And then after you make your refinements to just make that proper selection, then you change the convert to color here on the right-hand side of the panel. Okay. So once you have these defined, then you can redefine the color on the right. We'll do a couple of different, we'll show you a couple of different things that you can do with this today. Note right here in the middle of the panel, there are locks. Now, these locks make it so that when you are making an adjustment to the convert from color, it will automatically keep that same color or apply that same color to the to color here on the other side. And that just works really simply so that, let's say we use the eyedropper here and we choose our orange, then you can see that it chooses the exact same orange on this other side. So if we have this turned off, like if we go to let's reset. So if we have this off and we make our adjustment or we're making a selection here. So we made our selection. And then now it's applying all of the colors in the rainbow to the selection I just made. And that's not what we want. So that's why I usually leave that lock on. Okay, so Typically, you'll use the eyedroppers to make selections. That's a quick way to do it. There are also presets available from the drop down here. You can see there are 4 lines, the icon on the left side. If you click that, these are range presets. Now, each one of the controls here, the hue, the saturation, and the luminance, they all have these range presets. So for this one in particular, we know we have an orange tone. We don't have an orange tone in any of these squares except for maybe this yellow one and this red one. I'll choose the red one. Okay, so we can't really see what we're selected there. We don't have our show overlay option on. So when I'm making selections like this, it's usually a little bit easier for me in particular to turn this option on, so I will. Now you can see that there's another weird tone being applied to the image over the top. That's our mask. Okay, so we can make adjustments to that mask, which I've already done here. You can see I'm going to hold down the / key so that you can see the original image. So we have an orange image, right? So if typically our mask is red. So if I leave it here, I click the 4 lines icon next to the show overlay option, and that gives me overlay options. So I can change the hue of it. So red, you can't really see. The green, you can see on this orange image. Sometimes it's easier to do different things here. So feel free to change these. You can also make it more or less opaque to show you where your selection is as well. Sometimes it's hard to see though, so you have to play with it a little bit. Anyway, okay, so at least we can see our selection, and it's really like Hulkmania or, yeah, the Hulk. Anyway, okay, so we've made our selection here, just with our preset here on the top. So it's green this time, not the typical red. Don't be alarmed. So we used our preset to get in the ballpark, and now we can start to make some more refinements to get down to just the nitty-gritty selection that we want to make. Okay, so that's where we get a little bit more detailed as we go. So the saturation ranges behave the same. We have presets there. Okay, so we know that we want the background in this image is super saturated, but the skin and the hair aren't that saturated. So if we want to select a saturation preset, we probably select one that just selects like the most saturated areas, just like that. So now we can see that the selection's been made here on the range sliders. We can make more adjustments there if we want to, but we don't necessarily need to for here. We can see where our selection is made. We have the background pretty sharp too. But we also have this orange in her mouth, and there's a little of that bounce light from that orange. And then I'm going to hold down the / key. She has that fancy orange smoke eyelash or whatever that's called, paint or makeup there. I don't know if it's smoke. It's orange though. Orange smoke. Anyway, okay. So we'll do the same thing with the luminance control. If we hold down the / key, we can see that we do not need the very brightest tones of orange. We do not need these on these highlight tones here where these are. We don't need those. So let's select most of the darker tones. That was not even enough. Oh, here. So we can see as we drag these sliders up and down, we can see the changes being made. Now, since we're talking about making adjustments, and it's really clean and easy to see, right? It's really clean and easy to see the adjustments that we're making here. I'm going to show a couple of the new mask modes that'll make it a little bit even easier to see when it's not this easy to see. That was a whole bunch of negatives in the sentence all at once, so bear with me. Okay, so I'm going to I selected the 4 lines icon next to the show overlay mode, and we're going to look at we can look at mask only mode, and that shows me just where I'm selecting in this image. Or I'm going to look at the saturation, visualize saturation. So we're working at, oops, that was the wrong one. I was just showing that off to you guys. I meant luminance. There we go. So we have visualize luminance on, okay? So what that means is we're going to see this bright green mask only where we are selected on the luminance of the image. So as we make adjustments to our luminance slider, man, it's really easy to see how that background changes as I make this tweak. You can see it as I drag it across, and I'm selecting more and more of the tones in that range. Now I can do the same thing on the other side to exclude some of the other tones in that range. But I think as we get closer here, you'll see as it'll start to, oh, you can see at that top right corner or top left corner, it's going to start to deselect some of that background. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that background's completely selected. Okay. So now what? Okay, so this is the advanced color editor. We're going to make some adjustments to this color, and we're going to apply those adjustments to this image, right? So I'm going to turn my show overlay here off. Actually, I'm going to toggle it on and off while I talk. Let me set it back to overlay mode. Okay, so we see here on her hair, there's a little bit of some extra masking, and we can see on her eyes and her nose and right here on the orange. So I want to apply some adjustments to this color, to the background color in this image. This is for our example. I'm going to do that here on the color hue range, right? So I can just select and I can drag down and add some red tones into the selection that we made. Now I'm going to drag it down, make it a little bit more aggressive so that you can see that her eye color and the oranges are changing as well. Now, I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the advanced color editor. Okay? The advanced color editor applies its adjustments in a layer, and it uses very similar controls to the brush tool. Here we go. So down here on the bottom, we have color constraints, and we can select a range in this image similar to the way that we just did with the advanced color editor. However, I don't want our adjustment that we just applied with the advanced color editor. Actually, I'm going to rename this. Advanced color edit. See? So we just applied our advanced color edit on this layer in the right, in the layers panel on the right. And so what I want to do, if I turn it off, you can see it goes back to the original image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the eraser brush right here on the right, set my flow up, and just erase that effect from where I don't want it to apply on her face. And that way, I still have my advanced edit made to that coloring in the background, but it's only applying to this right here in the foreground. Okay? So now if I wanted to, I'm going to close the brush tool. I'm going to go back to the advanced color editor. I can make additional adjustments to this to introduce other colors or whatever if I wanted to. So this is on its own layer now, and I don't affect that orange that she has. Okay, so that's a cool way of like separating out and showing how clear and crisp, you know, what you can do with the advanced color editor. It's a really, really easy way to see on the screen. A couple of questions here. Is this option available in Exposure 5? Exposure 5 is an old product. Exposure X5 was, you do not have the advanced color editor in the Exposure X5. You do have layers and you do have the color constraints in Exposure X5. So if I select an image, here I'll show you. Let's select this one. So in Exposure X5, you are going to have the, here we go. There it is. You will have the color constraints, and they are right here. And they work very similar to both sets of controls. You'll note that they are similar to the sets of controls on the advanced color editor. What this will allow you to do is make a selection based off of the color information, and then you can mask that out and apply an adjustment. You just don't have the direct advanced color editor. That's new to the Exposure X6. And yes, we recommend using raw images when you're editing, especially when you're doing color work. It's way clear. These images in particular were clear on their own, and that's why we use them for this demo. Anyway, you guys are awesome. Okay, let's get back to this. So here's another example of using the advanced color editor and what we can do with it, what we want to do with it. This image in particular has a lot of poppy color to it, so it makes it really easy to see on the screen, and that's why I'm using it for the demo. So, okay, so let's open up the color panel again. We will select the advanced color editor. And this time, if I just want to select like a tone in this image to say that I want it to match with a specific look, or if I want to make little bits of adjustments to it, or if I want to recolor an image, here's how we're going to do it. Now this time I'm going to go a little bit quicker than I did the last time. So if you see me clicking around a lot, I'm probably going to talk my way through it, but don't be alarmed. I'm not lost. I'm just kidding. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to set a hue here. This red on the hair, or red on the hat, and down here and on her wrist here is really clean and crisp. So we want to have a lot of the saturation on that. Yeah, and let's look at our overlay there. Oop. There we go. Sometimes I make sound effects when I'm editing, and that really helps. I don't know if you guys ever have troubles. You could try that sometime. Anyway, let me know how it works. Okay, so we're going to get a selection of that and that color range there. That's good. Now you can see that it's picking up that lip color, and it's also picking up some color here in her clothes. I would change the color of the clothes quicker than I would change the color of the lip, but that's just me. Okay, so we're going to make a little bit of a tweak to this just to give it some new tones, just spice it up. Okay, so that's our first color edit that we made, was that pink tone. Okay, so I'm going to add a second tone to control here. So I clicked the plus at the top of the panel, and then I'm going to go through, do kind of the same thing. But I can use my presets, right? So I should rely on those because they'll get me through this quicker and easier. So I have this green tone. There's a little bit of that. Let's see. Yeah, you can see it right there where I'm selecting it. See, this is a good example. I need to, because it's a green tone, I'm going to have to, there. Yeah. Oh, see that in the background? Ah, it's a good thing I changed that. All right. So we want to drag anything that's not very saturated right out. And then anything that is really bright. Okay, there. So now we have that. And I'm going to make a tweak to that too. Right now it's like bold green, you know, and I want it to offset with that pink that I just added there and make it like limey. So I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to it. Okay. Now I can continue to do this to essentially recolor this entire striped suit that she has on. And that was kind of the example here, was to show that you can do multiple color swaps or changes all at once, you know, pretty simply and pretty easily with the advanced color editor. So, you know, and it's really up to you, whatever you want to do with your image or wherever you want that image to end up, you can do with a tool like this. It makes really quick work of this kind of thing, of replacing colors. Okay. And it also, like, that was all done in one single step. So now that I have that done, I can also go in and use my masking to change how that is being applied, you know, to my image. Oops. I could totally mess up my mask there so you can't see the effect. All right. So let's go to, I have one more use that I want to show you today, and that is to use the advanced color editor to desaturate. Okay, so this is a really subtle way of giving some pop to an image like this. Then they make like these people here, for example, in this shot, make them jump out really, really easy and quick. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the color tab here on the right side, open the advanced color editor. We're going to select that brownish orange hue in the background. This time I'm going to hold down Shift and just select a couple of times to make sure that I have it. Whoops. And then I'm going to do it again because I just messed that up. There. See? And then let's show the overlay. Okay. So I want to select the background. So I'm going to take like the dark places out, and then anything that is super saturated, like skin and stuff like that, or like not like skin, like her dress. Here we go. Looking good. Oop, oop. Just going to continue to make some refinements here. Okay, you can see it right there. All right, we're doing pretty good. Okay, let's make a little bit of adjustment here. I want more. See what I'm doing right here? You can see those colors on their faces. That's very similar to what's in the background, but on this shot in particular, if I favor the yellow, then I remove a little bit of the coloring from those people. And that's what I'm trying to do, is just get away from touching on that skin, just like that. Okay? So now I have my saturation range set. And now in my convert from color, I have everything set. I'm going to turn this off so that now we can see this is the image, okay? So now in the range slider, I'm going to take the sliders for saturation. I'm going to move them down. And you don't really see any changes happening. It's giving a little bit more of, I guess, flat area here where this wasn't selected before. It's giving it more of a gray. You can see where it's taken some of those tones out just really subtly. In the foreground here, you can see it. And then as I drag these other ones down, watch these tones in the background here. And you can see that they start to drop out as well. Okay, so I would feather this so that it's a nice, easy, tweak to that image, just like so. And it's just a little tiny tweak. So let's, I'm going to close this, and then I'll hold down the backslash key. And we can see this is a before shot. And then if we let go, this is our after shot. We've kind of cut out that orange or that yellowy orange hue in the background. And now you read that couple and you're looking at them more than you are anything else. So, okay, so we've gone over the advanced color editor today. I'm showing you a couple of different ways of doing things. We looked at how to use every single one of the tools. We talked about how to make and refine your selections using the options inside of the panel. We talked about the presets. Now, we did not talk about how you can save your own presets for your color or recoloring that you make here. And you can save those out and make that quick if you're going to use a preset like this. You can also, inside of exposure, like there's an image right here, and this image are very similar, right? Well, just so happens that if I edit, copy all settings, and let's open this up so we can see it. Edit, paste settings. Boop. There we go. Now you can see that that same effect has been applied to this image. I'll turn it off and on. And we have all of our color constraints right there. So we don't actually need to do any adjustments to that one. That was easy to do. And so anyway, I think that I was going to turn over to the questions, but I believe that we've answered all the questions. So let's, I'll leave you guys with a couple of comments today, and that is, if you'd like to get in contact with other exposure users, I encourage you to join our Facebook group, the Exposure Users Group on Facebook. Also, if you'd like to post your work and share it with us, we encourage you to do that. And post it to Instagram and use our hashtag #MyExposureEdit. And we do want to thank you all for your interest in exposure, for joining us today, and for being so amazing. Thank you guys all so much. And I think we're good to go. There we go. Yeah, this is an Exposure X5. Yeah, we've answered them all. Sweet. All right. Thanks, everybody.